Okay, here we go. All right, welcome everyone. Morning on a wet Friday from Sydney, and I hope everyone's staying incredibly safe and amongst all these floodwaters. And can I just reach out to those that are affected and certainly say that we're here if there's anything we can do. I know it's hard to sort of reach out and know what to reach out for, but if you need help, please ask. And yeah, thoughts with all those that are watching the floodwaters around their properties at the moment. But before we kick off, can I acknowledge the traditionalists which we all meet today and here at Darug and Gurungai country. We say Warrami, welcome to the land. And obviously I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands in which we all meet today. Pay my respects to elders past, present, emerging, and hope that we all take something from their knowledge, understanding of the land in which we work with every single day. So as I say, stay safe for everyone. Certainly the rains are not stopping here and don't look like stopping for another 5 or 6 days according to the Bureau of Meteorology this morning. So I know I have web feet. I don't know about anyone else, but let's hope that we come out of this and can blossom from that point forward. So a lot to cover off, particularly I wanted to highlight, and I know those that are affected won't be online, but it will be recorded. And if you are in contact with anyone that is affected, I ask you to reach out to them and tell them about these grants that the government has been so prompt in getting up and running. And that's particularly the storm and floods grants of February, March 2022. So really pleasing to see the government's action and its speed in getting these up and available for people that are affected. There is also still the disaster relief grants and also the natural disaster fund, which is done at the federal level. So please, if you do know anyone affected, reach out and make sure that they are very well aware of these opportunities for them. This week, we started our Active Outdoor Kids program, and Helen did a great job running out to Portland. I thought I'd quickly share this video with you. Timing, Helen. So did you want to give us a quick wrap up on the first day before they get stuck into the rest of their program and we take it to Port Macquarie?
Sounds great. Yeah, excellent day on Monday. They'd had a bit of a COVID outbreak last week or the previous week, so numbers weren't as high as anticipated, but the kids were super keen. They're doing sort of 2 4-week programs back to back, which kind of makes the 8-week program. And the guy that we've partnered there with, as you can see on the screen, Ant Fitness, he's just this keen kind of running fitness coach, and he was so great with getting the kids engaged in and just keeping them moving and making it really fun. So that's the sort of provider that we're looking for across the state as we kind of find providers for the other 11 programs. Yeah. But it was amazing, just a great program, great kids, loved it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I think just to reiterate, this program is getting the kids that don't actively engage in sport, getting them into recreation, seeing what opportunities are there for them. And hopefully the operators then become active kids providers, of which then they can claim their vouchers through that program ongoing. So great. And thank you again, Helen, and thank you to the Office of Sport for their assistance with this, and also the government for their funding, the most important part to get this going. So let's jump into our mentor program, which this week we had the kickoff for that, thanks to Small Business Month. And we have 30 participants, which are part of the program. And really, oops, sorry, kick back too quickly, that started engaging with one another. So we set the framework for what to expect, and now they are interacting with one another individually and come back together on the 14th of March for the next session. And thank you to Patty Palin too, who is supporting the program continuing till September. So really great outcome for our first cohort of our mentoring program. This week, actually yesterday, was the Destination Australia conference. So I thought I'd give you a quick snapshot of what actually was discussed at that event. Now, Dantine, as you might remember, in January announced some visa changes around refunds of visas in the application fees, also international student working hours and their flexibility. So there was the CAT release, and then also the employer flexibility, which meant that there was no time limit on the employers. That is still in place, but I'm still hearing from a lot of you that we are getting some difficulty in getting visas through. If you have a circumstance of this nature, please contact me. I've heard from several of you, and I'm taking that up with Home Affairs. But if you are having troubles with visas, please let me know, because as I say, I'm taking this up higher. They're saying they're flexible, they're saying they're helping, but if we've got trouble, we need to bring it to their attention and get that solved. The other thing that Philippa Harrison spoke about was the next normal. And this, I think, was a real highlight to the opportunity that we have. And for those that are in tourism, awesome, we've got some great opportunities ahead of us. For those that aren't in tourism, but see it as an opportunity, now is a great time to discuss that and see if you can work your product around it. Because the thing that came through with Philippa was the outdoors is booming. And people are looking at sustainability and trying to do more of a wellness opportunity with their leisure time. So significant changes with the shift from COVID and also international border closures. This is certainly an opportunity that we need to take advantage of. The sobering stats that they threw up were that we lost $142 billion to the Australian economy from tourism. And pre-COVID, individually, Australians would do 14 trips on average, business and leisure. That went down to 9 trips in 2021-22. I think they crammed them into a smaller time frame. But what was significant in that was the spend on each trip was higher. So they might have been spending the same amount across 14 trips, but into 9. So obviously towns and regional communities benefited from that spend. The average nights also increased, so 3.5 to 3.8 nights. And as I say, the significant increase in outdoor activities. So really moving up in that area of people wanting to be part of the outdoors. Confidence is growing in Australia around travel, except going overseas. So we are probably one of the lowest countries as far as our willingness to travel overseas compared to the overseas coming here. So needless to say, that's an opportunity for inbound tourism. So let's jump into the funding and support. I think I've gone through these in the last couple of weeks, so I won't reiterate these again. They're on your screen if you're interested and if you are not aware of those programs. Don't forget the Done, Discover and the Stay vouchers is a significant opportunity to get a lot of the Sydney-siders and New South Wales-siders into your business. So if you're not registered for those vouchers, please do so. The Safe Work rebates, as we've discussed before, and the hardship grants, and the small business support program for the January-February losses of Omicron are now open. So that's through Service New South Wales. What is coming up is the program that we've negotiated with the state government in the disadvantage that we had in term 4 last year. It will be available in April. It is taking some time. Floods probably haven't helped in that, but the good thing is we're working with them on that criteria to make sure it matches exactly what we need for our industry. So I'll update you as more comes to hand on that. This one we mentioned last week, so I won't go in detail, but there is the mental health in sport grants out there, and I have clarified that recreation can apply for this as long as it's seen to be active recreation. And we have Bruce on the line, which is awesome to see you, Bruce. Thanks for joining us, the new incoming CEO of the Outdoor Education Group. Did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you, and apologies for not being in last week. I met Laurie as soon as I arrived, and I look forward to working with all of you. And I know that you've got a lot on your plate. First thing, obviously, meeting the outdoor, New South Wales and ACT through Laurie is a high level of enthusiasm and information flow, and it really is, above standard, which is fantastic. So. I'm just looking forward to working with all of you. I've come into the operation from outside, but I did start my education as a physical education teacher with outdoor education back in the early 80s. So it ages me, but I took another career path. My father put his hand around my neck and said, get into commerce. Biggest regret I have. But what I do get is probably level of opportunity and gap that this industry has, and the mixture between outdoor ed and hospitality. From my background, it has got a huge opportunity, and certainly through what you're doing and through the other associations and through what we can do and what you can do, we just need to keep that voice going. Because we've just, in my 6 weeks, understanding the mental health issues that our young cohorts and students are going through, and teachers about getting them outdoors. So nice to meet you all. Laurie can share my email and details. I'm happy to talk to you anytime, but really nice to meet you all, and just keep up the good work. And I'm here, as I said to Laurie, to add any voice, strength, support, and I'll do a lot of learning and listening, because what you've forgotten, I'll never know. So thank you for the invitation, Laurie, and nice to meet you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bruce. Really appreciate that. And yeah, if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to filter them through to Bruce at a later time. And yeah, as he said, he's welcome to be contacted. So we'll share those details. Thank you so much. And thanks again for being here. You're more than welcome every Friday. Okay, we might jump on to Mark, and I wanted to introduce our new contact at the Office of Children's Guardian. So Mark, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. And I might hand over to you, because I've been really drilling the safe standards to these guys for a few weeks now. I think they're sick of me talking about it. So let the specialists talk about it and make sure everyone is up to speed with the new requirements.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. So I just wanted to give a really brief update, basically, of what's going on our end, basically, at the OCG. So as of the 1st of February, the Child Safe Standards scheme went live. So the standards are now mandatory for child-related organisations. So we've been working really closely. There's 2 of us that look after sport and recreation. I've taken the recreation side. So just really working closely, hand in hand, offering as much support as possible to anyone, the bigger organisations, the smaller organisations who are sole traders running their own show. So we're really pushing the message that the first 12 months, we are focusing on the standards that drive leadership and culture, because if we can get a good culture set in place, then the rest is just going to really flow on. So we'll really be focusing on its standards 1, 6, 8, 9, and 10. So we're not expecting everyone to have all 10 standards up and running immediately. If you can, amazing. But we're also telling people to come and see us. They're what we're focusing on. And also getting people the message across that if you don't have these up and running straight away, don't stress. We've had a lot of people come to us in panic mode saying, oh my gosh, do we need to drop our kids' programs until we have these in place? Maybe we're just going to drop our children's programs altogether because this is just going to be too hard to get up and running in a couple of days. So it's very much pushing the message of, we've got 12 months for everyone to get those standards set in stone. And then next year we'll focus on the next couple, and then the year after we'll focus on the next couple. So it's a 3-year process. We're not looking at taking any form of compliance action for the next 12 months on these standards, which is really important to get people to know as well. So if you do speak to anyone out there and they're stressing out and they don't know what they're doing, just calm their nerves and say, you've got 12 months, probably even longer, because once our compliance team come in, they're also only going to be doing more capability building and giving you points of interest where you could improve a little bit more or where you're lacking. So this came about because I spoke with, we had the Sports New South Wales conference on Friday, which was great. And while sport has so many big peaks to do all their work for them, we found in the rec sector, that's not always the case. And to be very honest, as I put in an email to Laurie the other day, I'm really struggling getting, making traction with the rec sector. So I'm actually putting the call out to everyone saying, whoever you speak to, pass on my details and tell them to hit me up. I'm happy to help in any way possible, whether that be we get a big webinar going, or if any organizations are interested in the face-to-face training, I'm happy to travel. I'm happy to do it online. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's all, I'm basically here to be everyone's helper. That's my job. That's what I'm keen to do. So I'm more than happy for anyone to get in contact with me. No questions, a silly question, nothing's too big, nothing's too small. We can all work together to get it done. Because that's really going to be our driving force this year. We want to get as many people on board for our training, webinars, face-to-face. We're hoping to kick off our assessment programs by the end of this month, if not first week of April. So putting the call out for anyone that wants to be involved in that as well. That would involve, it's a self-assessment. So we'll send you a questionnaire. Basically, the organizations will go through their own processes, policies, if there's codes of conduct, all that sort of thing, and they'll assess themselves where they're at. And then if it's a face-to-face meeting, we come out for 2 hours and then go through everything, say, this is where you need a little bit of work, or this is amazing, work together. Otherwise, if not, it'll be all online where you'll send us your stuff, we'll review it, we'll come back to you. It's all about the capacity building on our end. That's all we want to do this year. So that's about it. We've got amazing resources on our website if you're speaking with anyone on how to create a code of conduct, a child safe policy. We've got more coming out on risk management strategies, because one of the things we'll be looking for in these standards is everyone to have a risk assessment in each organization. So some we've found have been trying to get their peaks to do it in the sports sector, where that just doesn't work because each location is different. So they need to do an assessment based on their location. For instance, a darker car park or toilet blocks that are at the back of a building where no one else can see. So those are the sorts of things that we're going to speak with each individual person on, but also work with the bigger organizations and heads and all those sorts of things. So really putting it out there that I want to speak to as many people as humanly possible in the next 12 months and see as many people as humanly possible and train as many people as humanly possible. That's all I want to do, and help you get where you need to be to basically keep our kids in New South Wales safe. We also have an amazing thing. We have officially kicked off with the Office of Sport. We've created an e-learning program. It's an hour course. So module 1 is actually up live now on the OCG website under their training. We haven't done an official launch yet, but we're telling people about it. The module 1 is aimed at everyone within the sport and rec sector. It doesn't have to be managers, CEOs, anything like that. We want every single person to get this one done. It's even set so parents can do this. So they know what kind of things they should be looking for in regards to child safe, wherever they're sending their kids to do any form of activity, and know that they're looking out for the best interests of their children. So I would encourage everyone to get on board, check that out. It's really great. There's been a lot of work over the last 6 to 12 months. I think this has probably been going to get this one up and running. it's a great program. So get on it, and it'll just really help any of your stakeholders or people that you're talking to out there to really understand what we're looking for. It goes through all the policies we'd be looking at and all those sorts of things as well. So that's basically it from me. I'll chuck my contact details in the chat so everyone can have them. Hit me up afterwards if you've got a question now. I mean, I'm happy to take a question now. Or yeah, just get in contact with anything you want to know. If there's ways that we can work together, if you're doing a webinar or training day and you want me to come along and speak for 10 minutes about the standards, I'm happy to do that as well. So yeah, I hope to hear from you guys soon, and yeah, just keep throwing all my details out there so everyone knows about me and knows that I'm a nice guy and I will help and do as much as I can to get them on board.
Absolutely. Now, just Mark, do you realise what you've done? You've just put it out there for everyone to contact you and be part of this, and you've already had some people reach out. So watch out,
Yep,
the flood's coming.
Hit me up. I love it. Can't wait.
Okay,
Keep me on my toes.
Yep. So make sure you put your details in there. Definitely, Bridie said that she's happy to get in contact, and as she said, this is really, really important for the industry. So really great that you're there doing this. And I think it'd be great to see from our aspect, what does success look like with an organisation that has done everything right as well. And I'm sure you're looking at ways to showcase that.
Yeah, definitely.
Dave's got a question though. I'll hand over to Dave.
Yeah.
Yes, many of us, particularly the bigger organisations, will cross state borders quite often.
Yep.
Now, I know all states have probably similar in some ways, but they will be different. So I guess that could be something that you might have to look at there, New South Wales or Victorian operators or Queensland operators, in particular operating into New South Wales.
Yeah, so we had this question last week. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just going to be you'll have to show how you can meet each state's standards, because I know Victoria has now 11 standards instead of 10. They decided to throw an extra one up, which now doesn't, and they don't align. So you couldn't go standard 2 in Victoria, standard 2 in New South Wales, and kind of just cross-reference them that way. They're all very different. So they could. There's some that you. There's some that would chop and change. That yes, you could copy it across. So standard 2 in Victoria would be standard 5 in New South Wales, and it would be the same thing. It would be a child safe policy, your recruitment policy, all those sorts of things. But unfortunately, for those that are going to go across state lines, you'll have to have 2 sets of everything for the ones in, say, Victoria, and then for the ones in New South Wales, which will be a big thing, which we are telling people about, which hopefully they understand and try not to get too upset at us. But yeah, unfortunately, that's just how it is. It's kind of similar to the way the Working with Children check works. A worker who does Queensland and New South Wales, you need to have both clearances. So,
absolutely. I think we need a good national body to help us navigate some of this sort of stuff in our industry.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll get there.
And that's why we throw, and that's why we throw as much as possible at you, so you can have everything to try and make your life that little bit easier, and we help as much as possible. So.
One location that Outdoors New South Wales and Outdoors Victoria might have to liaise on is the Murray River. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of Victorian schools and operators and organisations that run canoeing on the Murray River, which is actually in New South Wales. Yeah. Even though most people think it's in Victoria.
They get off the Victorian side.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very, very good point, Dave.
David, we'll just make sure that we stick to our half of the river. What do you reckon?
Neither they will cross.
and before I finished, just that obviously what happened with the pandemic, that when the forefathers and forebearers organised the state borders, that pandemics stop on the border, right? But they don't cross the line. So.
That's it. Absolutely.
Yeah, they also made the border the high water mark on the Victorian side, so they are, New South Wales owns all the water, unfortunately. Yes.
Well, it drains down our side, right? We're the wetlands. So.
The ACT will just block it all off from getting down to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. exactly. There we go. We're just damn it.
There's a Snow River comment there, right? So yeah.
Well, Dan's based in the ACT, but yeah, very close by. Awesome stuff. Dave Gregory's in Jindabyne, so he's not far from there. Awesome.
Oh, and we also had many questions about because we got all the kids out of Sydney last year. I was getting calls from Victorian schools how to get them into New South Wales and then be able to trek down into Victoria. So yeah, always interesting times between states and how it all works or doesn't.
Yes. Who's going to start writing that book of lessons from COVID?
Well, you don't have to worry because there's been more exoduses from Victoria because of our premier than so you're going to get a natural growth by our loss of people. You know, so significant.
Absolutely, but you're the only ones without a disaster at the moment, so it's a bit of a catch-22.
Touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood, absolutely. Wonderful. Sorry, Mark, we've diverted from your topic there, but great conversation nonetheless. So any more questions for Mark? Because look, having a resource like Mark, I have to say, you don't often have this support in developing your processes and systems to comply with legislation. So yeah, any other questions for Mark? Mark, I've got one that I spoke to a member this week who said we've had systems and processes in place for quite some time in relation to this. How do we ensure that someone can look at it and see if it's compliant with the current standards without having to go through and reinvent the wheel?
So it's basically just work out exactly what we're looking for the standards. We're expecting so many organizations to actually have this in place already. So what we've already done with people is they've sent us what they already have, and we're turning around going, yep, you've ticked off this part of the standard, this part of the standard, this part of the standard, because it's the public commitment to child safety, which is a statement you can just make on your website, online, social media pages, codes of conduct. Most places have that already. Recruitment policies, people have that. So it's just ensuring you've got all those in place. So it would literally just be figuring out what you need for each standard and what we're looking for, and then going with what you've already got. And if it's in place, it could be as simple as, hey, Mark, I want to flick all this to you. This is what we've got. Can you let me know if any improvements are needed or anything like that, or are we good to go? And it could just be a fact of I'll come back going, you know what, this is amazing. Tick, tick, you're good. Thanks for coming. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
so yeah, like a lot of people have it. A lot of people will have it as a different name as well. So, for instance, for New South Wales would call something a member protection policy instead of a child safe policy, for instance. It's got the same information in there. You've already got it, so we're not going to go and ask you to reinvent it.
Yeah.
So
Still compliant.
yeah, still compliant.
Very good. Awesome. And I assume as you go through this process, there might be some sort of templates or something. You mentioned there's some templates already, but you know, there's going to be options to have a look at what's existing, and again, not reinvent the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. So there are already some up. I think, what did I say? The code of conduct, child safe policy, like how to write a policy, and it breaks it down into sections: title, heading, what's required in this part, what's required in this part. So it's very helpful, even just to use as a basis, and then you can write your own, or if you've already got one, you can kind of cross-reference it to what we've got. We've got risk management resource coming out, how you can do a risk assessment and alleviate risks within the organization. That will be launched in the next couple of weeks, we're hoping. Maybe not even a couple of weeks, to be too honest, fingers crossed.
Great.
Which then we'll be offering training on that as well. So everything we launch, we offer training on. So either between the child safe officers like myself, or whether it be our child safe training team, they'll go through that new resource and explain how to use it and what it means and how it will look in each organization. It'll be open for everyone. Our training sessions are going gangbusters at the moment, to the point we're having to put on extras because we're letting 100 people in at a time and they're booking out within 24 hours. So we're upping it to 150 and then it's booking out again. So we're putting them all back on, which is why myself has taken on offering as many webinars as possible, because then I can speak directly to the recreation sector and we can tailor it to each specific organisation. So we did one the other week, very specific to golf.
Yeah.
So everything was tailored around golf, and then we've got one coming up with netball. So it's going to be very tailored around what they'd be looking at a netball court and the training facilities there. So the same thing can easily be done within any setting. It's just letting me know, and we can work together to get the numbers and get as many people in and talk about all that. They're a quick hour webinar as well. That we would do. It gives a very brief outline, and then you have the opportunity to ask any questions and that sort of stuff. So, they're really great opportunities.
Yeah, just looking around the screen, there's sort of networks that are on that people are coordinating. Like, say, for example, Bridie's part of the climbing community in the Blue Mountains. Would you be willing to talk to that community, you know, particularly about this direct and organise something just for them? Okay.
Yeah. Because like there's indoor rock climbing centers I've had a conversation with where they have to go that little bit of an extra level because they're helping children get strapped into harnesses, and there's more of that physical contact than there would be for other activities. So it's making sure that they know and can risk assess to ensure that nothing like that would happen. So I'm happy to speak to anyone, and definitely any webinar we organise would involve a chat beforehand. So I can get exactly what messaging they want across. And if they have concerns they want me to touch on, I'd do that sort of thing. So a lot of work goes into the webinars before we present them. To make sure that people aren't walking away going, this was an absolute waste of my time. So we really want people to get as much out of it. So we can talk to anyone and everyone. If we get a big group together across different sorts of rec activities, or it can be very specific individual ones as well, and we can run them during the day, we can run them in the evening. There's no real dramas about when they happen. So
brilliant. Okay, sounds good.
So,
Mark, thank you so much for being with us today, and feel free to stick around.
I'll hang around.
You're welcome to come any Friday again, you know, if you wanted to just reiterate the message and just make sure that people know you're still there. But that's great. And as I say, having the resource of someone like yourself in this process it has been amazing. Kara's just asked, have you been in touch with Bushwalking New South Wales? She's not online today, but normally is here of a Friday morning. Have you reached out to Kirsten at all?
I haven't, no. I'm in the process now, because what we've done, we've got our sector newsletter that goes out every month, and then through the working groups we're in, so the Sport and Rec Engagement Committee that we're in, we've been trying to get it go that way. But unfortunately, like I said, recreation has just been one of those tricky ones to really get people engaged. So I'm actually at this point in time.
We're just too busy, Mark. That's all it is.
I know, you've just got so much going on. It's great. So I'm in the process now of finding contacts and all those sorts of things. So I mean, even if anyone here has really good contacts I could touch base with, feel free to email them through to me, and I will contact them. I'll definitely put Bushwalking New South Wales on my list.
Yeah, wonderful. So, Cara, would you like me to put Mark in touch with Kirsten? Or she's halfway between places, I think.
Oh no, I'm here. Yeah, that'd be great, Laurie. That would be, that'd be, most excellent. Thank you.
No problems. All right, will do. Thank you, Mark. That's awesome.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Before we close the recording, I just wanted to and open up to discussion. I just wanted to ask everyone, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about a case that was in court around contractors versus employment, and it was quite a groundbreaking case in the fact that this organisation had to fork out hundreds of thousands of dollars to two contractors that were found to be employees. This sets a significant step for our industry going forward, and I've reached out to the Australian Business Lawyers, and they are prepared to come and do a session specifically for our industry if we so want it. The budget is not quite there for it, but I wanted to ask everyone if they just either thumbs up or thumbs down if there was a cost associated with attending such a briefing session. Is there interest for that? Getting a couple of thumbs. couple of, I don't know. Yep. Okay, great. All right. I'll investigate that further and might try to lock that in. Yeah, lawyers don't come cheap, as we know, but that is the best source of information for this type of content. And like I say, with everything that has been out in the social media realm of outdoor leaders at the moment around contracting and employment and a lot of the discussion, I think this is pertinent for right now and the time and learning from this, particularly for the businesses on screen. So I will investigate that and certainly bring it to you very soon then. So thank you for that quick pulse. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track.
Laurie, can I ask a question? So
Absolutely.
we work with Vicky down here. So do you have an equivalent, Becky?
We've got New South Wales who put me in touch with them.
Yeah, that's a great resource. We're utilising them a lot. We've got our own lawyers, obviously. You know, we've got a large workforce. It's complicated. You know, ZAs. There's a lot of areas, but you know, cleaned it up over the past. But
yeah,
we found that resource is a good one as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I reached out to Business New South Wales at the start and they put me in touch with ABL because they're actually Business Australia, ABL. So it's funded through the same. Yeah, but thank you. Yes, they are a great resource. And for anyone that does need any legal support there, Business New South Wales can tend to be the first point of call for a lot of response. So it's a really good resource. Any other questions on that, or I will turn the recording off and open up to what's happening in the grounds. No questions, no comments. Great.